Hello, Internet friend. Today on Value Side, the Hubris of Tariffs. I'm David Ravel. At the core of President Trump's tariff policy are the multiple goals of reducing the nation's trade imbalance, re-industrializing the country, and raising funds for the government's budget. Almost no one would argue with these objectives. Now, Trump's campaign slogan, Make America Great Again, encapsulates these goals. Today we are a country burdened with debt, reliant on overseas suppliers, and seemingly unable to manufacture the items we need and want. The operative word here is again. This once great country is no longer as great as it once was. It's a reality that so resonates with the voters that Trump was reelected president in 2024. Americans of all stripes see people experiencing homelessness, they drive on below-standard roads, and they face power shortages every summer. The list of repairs and rebuilds is extensive, and we're all familiar with them. America needs to be upgraded, and MAGA seemed like the ideal approach. On April 2nd, when President Trump unveiled his tariff policies, we all held our breath, hoping that this would be a strategy that would set our economic course for the next generation. Indeed, we all seemed to be on the same page when the president issued on April 2nd an addendum to the tariffs, saying, quote, large and persistent annual U.S. good trade deficits have led to the hollowing out of our manufacturing base, inhibiting our ability to scale advanced domestic manufacturing capability and undermine critical supply chains, and rendered our defense industrial base dependent on foreign adversaries, unquote. Here, the president is right on the money when he declared that our manufacturing base has indeed been hollowed out. For years, American manufacturing has declined, and as the president states elsewhere, it currently accounts for only about 11% of our nation's total economy. Clearly, the country needs to promote domestic manufacturing. Trump then proposes two basic strategies to promote that American manufacturing. The first is aimed at the price disparity between U.S. production and the rest of the world. He says now again, quote, significant and persistent annual U.S. good trades deficits are primarily caused by a lack of reciprocity in our bilateral trade relationships. The situation is evident in the disparate trade rates and non-trade barriers that make it more difficult for U.S. manufacturers to sell their products in foreign markets, unquote. Indeed, for over half a century, American consumers have verified the proposition that we prefer to purchase the lowest priced goods. The imposition of tariffs will help reduce the disparity between low-priced foreign-produced items and their American counterparts. This is where tariffs are an appropriate instrument. However, what tariffs do not do is enable American manufacturers to compete in foreign markets, or for that matter, to produce products more efficiently here in this country. The sad reality is that much of U.S. manufacturing is woefully outdated. And unfortunately, Trump's tariff program does absolutely nothing to help bring plants and equipment into the 21st century. Now, we've written extensively on this topic, and you should refer to the articles on the nearly century-old General Dynamics facility up in Scranton, Pennsylvania, that supplies the 155mm artillery shells needed in Ukraine, or the recent sale of the U.S. steel facilities to Nippon Steel and its century-old Edgar Thomson work here in Pennsylvania. Trump subsequently examines the global markets and evaluates America's ability to become even more competitive. Trump subsequently examines the global markets and evaluates America's ability to become more competitive. We quote him again, quote, this is also evident in the economic policies of key U.S. trading partners. which suppress domestic wages and consumption, thereby reducing demand for U.S. exports, while artificially increasing the competitiveness of their goods in the global markets. These conditions have given rise to the national emergency that this order is intended to abate and resolve." Unquote. Now here, I'll assume that this description is primarily aimed at China, as it certainly does not apply to such advanced trade partners as the EU, Canada, and Japan. If this is the case that President is indeed describing China, then regrettably his view of that country is woefully out of date. Although China was a relatively backward country full of underpaid labor in the mid-20th century, that is no longer the case. Just days before the Trump announcement of his tariffs, Chinese Premier Li Qiang emphasized the importance of domestic consumption in China's future economic growth. For some time, China has been focused on encouraging its own internal consumption. With a population of over 1 billion people, this would be the largest marketplace in the world. It is why it has been so challenging to bring major U.S. companies like Apple Computer back here home. That Trump misses this reality suggests the administration's view of manufacturing is stuck in the past. To become globally competitive, American business must catch up to the rest of the world, not compete with low-cost labor. In fact, the president performs a subtle sleight of hand here, implying that tariffs would somehow be used to help domestic production. His repeated use of the word "we" when describing the trade imbalances, as in, quote, "we've been ripped off," unquote, Trump suggests that because American manufacturing is losing sales to offshore markets, Trump would bring some of that income back to them. But that's not the case. All of Trump's tariffs will flow directly into the U.S. Treasury. Not a dime will go to U.S. Steel or General Dynamics to upgrade their ancient plants. Finally, a note about the rollout of tariffs. Not a day goes by without the president adjusting them. Although the negotiation process continues, only a handful of the 194 countries have signed a tariff agreement with Trump. Nonetheless, Trump continues to change the tariffs' terms and conditions. Our three largest trading partners, Mexico, Canada, and China, have seen 4, 6, and 6 different presidential executive orders on their tariffs, creating a new level of tariffs. This creates an indescribable amounts of confusion both among the offshore exporters and the domestic importers. It takes on average 2 months for a large container ship to cross the Pacific Ocean from Asia to the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach, California. During that time, the president may have changed the tariff rate. Thus, the price set when the ship sailed may not be the price when they arrive in the U.S. port. Now, September begins that window during which retailers must place their orders for the holiday season, the most critical shopping time of the year. Investors should start watching now for what I expect may be a very difficult Christmas. And that's today's Value Side. For all of our articles, references, and podcasts, visit valueside.com. I'm David Ravel. ValueSide is independently written and researched. The views expressed are strictly my own.